Okay, so you guys have seen me talk a lot about Triarc Systems. So they are apparently kind of the talk of the town right now when it comes to their ARs. The SHOT Show reporters that I talk to, are like, man, Triarc's really hot on the AR platform right now. I got exposed to them through 2011's, and I will stand by this statement. They're still where I would go to get a 2011 if I were you right now. The only variable in that would be budget dependent. If you're in like a mainstream 2011 price bracket, which would be, hey, let's face it, about $3,000, Triarc is where I would go. So I'm gonna start this video by saying that they're still where I would go, even though you've got some of the STIs, even Nighthawk's doing some double stack stuff now. So yes, you have options. I still say, I think they are, you're catching Triarc at a sweet spot right now. So that said, that's just my disclaimer to, this is not my gun. So this is a Commander that I've borrowed from a buddy of mine out here. And I'd not shot a Triarc Commander before. So obviously it's a double stack. And there's not a lot to talk about other than, hey, look, the gun's phenomenal. Some of the stuff that I dig the full length rail that they're doing on this. And even before we go down like spec land, because let's face it, I don't really do much of that and probably will not do much of that. If you've never shot 2011's, you really don't know what you're missing. If you're like, well, I shoot double stack Glocks, AKA basically all Glocks, it's not the same thing. Okay, I'm telling you, it's not the same animal. And if you're like, well, you know, what if the safety slows me down because I've got to draw, take that safety off? Look, these are things you just build in. There is no such thing as muscle memory, because as Robert Bruce reminded us recently, hey, look, the brain controls the muscle, so there is no such thing as muscle memory. So, but that said, you can build in that habit of safety coming off on when you're coming in and out of holster. So don't let something like that deter you from getting into 2011s. They're the best things to shoot you'll ever shoot, minus maybe a single stacked 1911 in 9mm, you know, but really that category of guns, you're not going to shoot finer shooting pistols than that. So I think to really have a good conversation about that gun, you have to bring in, well, what's it compared to? Because I can sit here right now and I can tell you, look, this is sweet. It's phenomenal to shoot. I'd never shot this gun. I picked up exactly at my sort of same pace, rhythm that I have with other 2011s. It's a phenomenal gun, right? And there's a lot of cool stuff about it. But I think you've got to look at, well, what are we comparing it to? Because if you look at these two, right, you basically got a Triarc 2011. It's a Commander length gun, railed, right? You know, relatively straightforward. Over here, you've got an STI Costa Ludus VIP, and this is a personal gun. This was purchased by me somewhere in the 2 to 3 years ago neighborhood. It's not a model that's currently made. You can find them on STI. Definitely considers this to be a carry 2011 by proof of which that so my STI shipped with 16 round mags, right? And if you look at like a juggler, might get a gig in the circus, 16 round mags do not go in that Triarc, so it's 17 rounds. So it's not that Triarc has a longer grip, it's that STI, and I would imagine at the request of Costa, chopped that grip. So what you're seeing is a difference of, hey, look, you pick up an extra round in the Triarc. For those of you guys who have meaty hands, obviously you're gonna get a slightly longer grip. I don't have giant hands. Either of these are fine. Neither one overwhelms me or underwhelms me. Point being, hey, you've got two different kind of takes on a carry gun here. And I think there's two variables to look at. There is, well, let's talk about the actual gun, but then let's look at the company as well, because to me, they are of equal importance. So if you look at just the gun itself, okay, so some of the stuff I like what Triarc did with this, that grip is the same one that's on my 2011. It's good. You know, it's not insanely grippy. It's not slippery. It's just, it's good. It's solid. It's somewhere in that middle zone of a grip, like a well-worn stippled grip for those of you guys who shoot stippled Glocks a lot. You're gonna have sight-wise, I like Triarc sights better that they're doing here. These, I'm not sure if they're done in-house. They might be Heine sights. Not entirely sure. Don't quote me on that. Same thing with the front sight. But they're going blacked out rear, fiber front. Obviously, they'll do different sight options. That's one of the things that I say, hey, big points for Triarc is that you can customize these and you go, well, do I want a threaded barrel? Do I want night sights? Like what, you know, what finish do I want, all that kind of stuff, versus you go over to STI and you go, hey, look, that is a production gun that we make. And there's no variable. You don't get to change the color. You don't get to do any of that. That is what it is. Take it or leave it. You buy something from Triarc, and look, that's big points for the company. The fact that you can make it your own and you can do unique things to it that aren't just stock off the shelf. Now, when it comes to grips, I will tell you, I actually really very much like these grips that STI has on here. Now, I don't believe they're actual STI grips. I'm almost positive they're from a company called Extreme Shooters, so you can look that up. These are phenomenal though. It's kind of a tree bark kind of thing, and I mean, just straight up, I really, really do love the grips that come on this. Same thing came on the Costa Carry Comp, and they're really, really great grips. Safety on a 1911, I don't mean like shooter safety, I mean the actual safety is of critical importance. You'll see a little bit of a difference on these two safeties. The STI on my left here is going to be a slightly wider safety versus that Triarc. And for me as a lefty, it actually does make a big difference in me getting a real, you know, because you'll see that tendency, I almost have to push the gun into my thumb a little bit to engage that safety. So that is one thing that I think STI did a really nice job with. Their undercuts, you'll see on that Triarc. So I have a little undercut back here. I do not have a second undercut. I do have a zone up here that is stippled, so I do have some texture for that support hand. I personally, it's just personal preference stuff. So STI, obviously we've got that one undercut, but then that second one, I like having that, okay? That's just a personal preference thing for me. I like that reference point of that's where my hand goes, okay? So you'll notice a difference in the rails. Triarc's got the rail that extends all the way out, so you got that full railed frame, and then STI's got more of your standard length rail. That's one of those things I don't care about. It may add a little bit more weight to the front end of the gun, so the gun could stay a little flatter. I suppose that could be an argument. Again, I think you'd have to get into some ransom rest kind of measuring to actually test that. I will tell you aesthetically, I actually really like those full length rails, probably just because I don't have one and you want what you don't have, and I don't have one, therefore I would like it. So trigger, so look, you've got flat on the Triarc, you've got a curved, very low profile trigger on that STI. I'd say they're of equal crispness. You know, they're pretty comparable to me in terms of which is better, not better. Honestly, it's pretty apples to apple on that in terms of trigger pull. You do have a slight mag well on your Triarc. You do not have one on your STI. Again, designed with a carry gun in mind. So that grip is chopped a little bit, which is why you get 16 round mags. There's no mag well so that you don't get any additional printing. So a little bit more low pro on that front. Serrations, these are Triarc's kind of standard serrations that they're doing. They're good. You know, I have no, you know, like, they're good. That's the best thing I can tell you about them. Like, they're good, they're grippy, they're solid. STI to me, majorly screwed up on this gun. The rear serrations, cool. Like them, they're very fine, they're nice, but nothing on the front to me was just like, why this little patch here that currently is doing nothing, why aren't there serrations there? I mean, to me, it's just like, but why? Huh? Like, am I missing something? Why wouldn't I put something here? Can I still, you know, do a press check or whatever from here? For sure, you know, but it's like, hey, for Mr. Hardcore Operator guy, yeah, but like, what if I'm covered in blood? Or like, what if I fell into a vat of oil and I'm trying to press check my gun and I can't do it because I don't have serrations, and now I'm bloody and oily, which is bound to be a porn somewhere, and I can't press check my gun. That's a very real possibility, okay? Only you can answer if you're that guy. Now, that's sort of apples to apples on specs. To be perfectly honest with you, they are relatively comparative. There's some stuff that I prefer about this, there's some stuff I prefer about that, but that's 50% of the equation. The other 50% is, well, what about the companies themselves? How is STI as a company versus how is Triarc as a company? Now, I stated this earlier, and I think it's of critical importance, and it tells you a lot. STI these days is in the production business. We make production guns and you buy the gun and this is the way it is. Triarc, you can go on their site right now and you can go to the builder feature and say, I would like this with a threaded barrel or this magwell, or I'd like this green fiber or tritium or whatever, right? You see what I'm saying? This Cerakote color, yada, yada, yada. So you can play that game. You cannot do that with STI. Let's take it one step further. That barrel, they refuse to do. If you're like, that's cool though, like they put a threaded barrel in that gun. Nope. So what happened was I called up, and those of you who saw my original review in this will remember this story, but I called up STI, this is maybe 6 months ago, and I said, hey, you know, I've got a new can coming and I want to be able to run this suppressed, and can I send the gun back to you and get a threaded barrel on it? We're not taking custom orders right now. Motherfucker, custom order? It's your gun. You sold it to me. Like, what are you talking about? It's not a custom order. You sold me. It'd be like if I went to Jeep, like the Jeep dealership, in my Jeep, and I was like, hey, like, I need some new tires. And they're like, we're not doing any custom stuff right now. No, I just need new tires. Like the Jeep you guys sold me, I just need to get some new tires on it. We're not doing tires right now. Motherfucker, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? This is your gun. Like, you cannot take $2,600 from me and then refuse to do anything on that thing you sold me for $2,600. Like, I'm highly not cool with that, which is why I confirmed with them on the phone. I'm just repeating what I heard you say because I want to make sure I'm understanding. Because guess what? Jake's got a loud mouth, right? So that, I think, is what you're dealing with STI these days. You're dealing with a company that's doing production. They won't do a whole lot to help out their customers. But the good news in this is they have all the Terran Butler business. And the Terran Butler business is booming these days. You might even say it's precious. I mean, shit, from what I hear from SHOT Show, things are going good. Combat Master, fuck yeah, those things are selling like hotcakes in Hollywood right now. Hashtag Me Too movement, okay? So if you're really looking at Triarc, I think you've got to go, versus STI, you got to go, okay, look, this is a gun that's a few years old. I think their quality has probably dropped off a bit since then, versus Triarc's coming up and they're still on the uprise, but it's 50% of the equation. The gun is only half the thing. The other half the thing is, how is the company and how do they take care of their customers? I know Triarc takes care of their customers. And by the way, I'm not paid by Triarc. I don't have any, there's no endorsement shit. Like, there's nothing. It's a company that I like. I like promoting shit that I enjoy, which is why still, I will tell you, if I'm in that $2,500 to $3,000 2011 category, I'll still take it all day because I know they'll answer the phone and they'll call me back. And the gun's great, right? But the company takes care of its people. That's it. I'm done. I quit.